As we continue to break down all of the divisions in the NFL, we have to jump over to maybe the best division in football, and that is the NFC East, a division we are all familiar with. We've all played in this division. Handicap the division for me real quick. The Eagles and Commanders, are they the 1 and 2? Can Dallas jump into the mix? Is there any world the Giants can compete? Is it 1-2 Eagles Commanders, not even close, or is Dallas in the equation?
I don't think it's really close. I think the Eagles, they lost a couple good players up front on defense, but for the most part, your boy Howie Roseman did an excellent job of maintaining their key players. And then they added some other good players as well. A great draft pick in Jahad Campbell. Yep. So defensively, they were number 1 in the league. Offensively, they kept
Don't break down the whole team. Are they? I'm just asking.
They kept their core. They got Saquon and Jalen Hurts back. The receivers are back. So yeah, Philadelphia's clear number 1. There's no doubt. And then Washington, I'm worried about their defense a little bit, but offensively, these guys are going to be tough to stop. So I think it is clear Philadelphia, Washington competing for that crown.
AQ, is there any world in which Dallas gets into 2? Like Dallas, they had so many injuries last year, right?
They did, but they can't stop anybody on defense, and I don't really think they got a lot better on defense at the end of the day. And I think, we talk about this all the time, scheme and fit are everything, and that team was built for Dan Quinn's system. They switched coordinators, completely different system, and they looked completely out of sync last year. The players don't fit it. The players couldn't tackle. They had some injuries, of course, don't get me wrong, but yeah, like they're not even close. I think it's 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, like miles apart. I think miles apart.
My question is, did the Cowboys get better? Not talk about players, talk about coaching staff. Like, did they upgrade?
Let's jump into the Cowboys then and make that the first question. First off, let's talk about the Cowboys, America's team. Colt, you're in Dallas. You know what it feels like, the atmosphere in the air. Talk to me about first-year head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Is that an upgrade?
I'm just saying, like, you had McCarthy and you had sort of a guy who's won a Super Bowl and kind of gets run out of town. And now yeah, it's very clear it's 1 and 2 Eagles and Commanders. But what about the state of just the Cowboys in general from the top? That's my question.
Jay, you have been a coach in the NFC East. You've seen what it's like to come into that division and compete against the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. What's Brian Schottenheimer thinking right now?
Well, my biggest issue is we know how good Philadelphia is on offense, and we know how good Washington is on offense, and we know that Dallas had the 31st ranked defense in the National Football League, or 30th. They were second to last in the NFC, just behind Carolina. Carolina was last. Dallas was second. What'd they do to improve their defense? What'd they do?
They re-signed Osa Odigizua.
That's a new defensive coordinator.
They went out and got Kenneth Murray. They
drafted
nice
Siobhan Revel. Siobhan Revel is
coming off an injury.
Solomon Thomas.
He's a back. Solomon Thomas, an undersized defensive lineman that can't stop the run.
Donovan Azaruku.
Yeah, he's another pass rusher. So they got Dante Fowler. So they got Fowler and Micah Parsons on the edge. They still got that Mozzie. He's no good. Linebackers, Overshawn. I love Overshawn. He's coming off an injury, though. He could run sideline to sideline. I just don't see them. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I'm just concerned that they did nothing to upgrade their defense, and they're still going to – how are they going to stop Saquon? How are they going to stop Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders? It's going to be tough, and the Giants are going to be a lot better. So I think – it's going to be a track meet every time they play. It's going to be very similar to the way the Bengals have to play. They're going to have to score 35 points a game to win, and they have the ability to do that offensively. But I don't think they can do that.
Hey, nothing like what Dak does absolutely best and feels most comfortable with the little 5-yard hitch routes to get into a shootout. Isn't that what you want? Little 5-yard hitch all day long for shootout. You know what he wants?
Throw a little hitch to George Pickens, see how far he can run.
Oh, you mentioned George Pickens first. Obviously, they traded for George Pickens this offseason with CeeDee Lamb. Under the microscope in Dallas, is this a tough place for George Pickens to land? He has these outbursts. Is this going to end well in Dallas for George Pickens and the Cowboys?
Well, it's CD's place. I mean, he's got to understand when he walks in the room, there's going to be a big poster of CeeDee Lamb sitting there, a big painting, and he's going to have to understand. He's going to earn his stripes. He's a great player. There's no doubt about it. He'll get his balls. There's no doubt about it. But I'm worried about the rest of the guys. They have 11 guys on offense. The running game, Javonte Williams. They did get Jaden Blue from Texas, who I like, but Miles Sanders,
running back by committee. Is that not an option?
Hey, you got to have a good committee. I mean. I mean,
you're not wrong. I'm just asking the question. I don't disagree with you.
When the Cowboys were good, they could replace smash mouth football and pound you, right? And then they could air it out with Romo. You know, they had good receivers, which they have, but they don't have that mentality anymore of smash mouth football, control the clock. And then they played unbelievable good defense, and they don't have that ability anymore. They're just trying to find their way. And Schottenheimer's in a pickle. He's going to have to try to air it out, score a lot of points, take a lot of chances on third or fourth down from time to time, and then figure out ways to get the ball back for their offense. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Let's look at the draft for a second. Maybe if Ashton Genty had fell to them at 12, instead they go Tyler Booker. They go interior offensive line. They lost Zach Martin. He retired, Hall of Famer. The offensive line's a little bit in flux down there in Dallas too. AQ, what's your thoughts on them going Tyler Booker? And then give me a little oversight on the Cowboys offensive line, Tyler Guyton, and on down. We can name them.
Yeah, listen, they do a good job of making that a priority. I just don't think they've had the luck on hitting on those picks that they did when they drafted Travis Frederick and Zach Martin and, you know,
Tyler Smith,
all these Hall of Famers. Like all these guys who ended up being really good. Well, now the last couple ones are down a level. And when you're down a level, now you don't have the consistency of the whole group. And now I feel like they're reaching a little bit. I felt like they reached a little bit on this pick with Booker, especially at 12. Jay and I hit that pretty hard on draft night. And it's like, listen, you take a guard at 12, this guy better be a gold jacket type of guy, like, or at least have a chance to be that. I don't see that. And so you mentioned Ashton Genty, and I think the biggest thing Jay and I both kind of touched on is the fact that they need playmakers on defense, and they didn't address it. That's where they should have went. Forget Genty, forget Booker, forget all these guys. They should have went defense in round one. They go in round two, and I think it's a solid pick, but like might be too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they've always prioritized the trenches in the draft. They have gotten away from it. Will McClay, their director of player personnel, is always touted as one of the best at identifying talent. The other issue the Cowboys don't do is they don't pay their players. Colt, you've been in a locker room. They pay him too late. They play poker and play him top of market. But I'm talking specifically about Micah Parsons. That's a guy that probably should have a deal done right now. What's it going to look like if they're in the season and George Pickens wants a new deal, Micah Parsons wants a new deal? How's that locker room going to feel?
I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys, man. It's like there should be a reality TV show on them every year. That's what it feels like being here. Everybody's like, oh, with it, should Dak be the guy? Should we pay Micah? We waited too long to pay CeeDee Lamb. Blah, you could just blah, blah, blah. But I do think Will McClay and Stephen Jones are really good front office sort of running the team guys. I just don't know how much say they have behind, Jerry Jones. You think anybody's going to walk into a room with Jerry Jones in there and tell him how to run a football team? Like,
so it's a little bit of fear. There's like this.
Almost 80 years old. It's like, oh yeah, thanks, but I'm going to do whatever I want to do. It's my team. I own the Cowboys, right? So for me, just looking at like a method or a plan, like it's just like, oh yeah, we've had great success drafting linemen in the first round, and we had the best offensive lineman when Romo played for 4 or 5 years. Like, let's go back to that. So boom, let's just go take Tyler Booker. Whereas if you're talking to AQ, it's like, dude, what was their biggest need? They need help in a lot of places, but they needed somebody on defense to like make a play with Micah, right? And
Walter
they didn't
Nolan
do it.
Was sitting there. They could have got a dynamic.
Left themselves with the only option is to overpay Micah. Like, he deserves it. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league, right? So it's going to happen unless they get rid of him, which would be also a bad decision. I don't know.
Every team will be lining up for that one.
Well, they draft Tyler Booker, who's a better run blocker than a pass blocker. And they're going to have to throw the ball 50 times a game. So they're
going to go empty 5-yard hitches.
Yeah, makes sense
40 times a game. Yeah,
they're calling him the Jalen. They're calling him the Jalen Carter, the Jalen Carter killer. He's going to come in and neutralize Jalen Carter over there in Philadelphia. I haven't seen a guard do that yet. He is in charge of taking care and keeping clean Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's back. He's healthy. He needs to elevate this team. He was MVP candidate 2 years ago. If you're ranking Dak Prescott in terms of the NFL right now, Jay, what number is he in your quarterback rankings?
He's top 12, probably, I'd say. Between 10 and 12, 10 and 13, somewhere there.
He's the highest paid, right? He's higher paid than Josh Allen.
I think with his injury and him coming back from an injury, and now he's got a new coordinator. I know Schottenheimer and McCarthy probably run similar stuff. Shouldn't be that much of a transition for him. But he's got the ability. There's no doubt about it. But he just makes too many just too many mistakes that you scratch your head at. Very Trevor Lawrence-ish type guy. These guys have very much talent. They can throw the ball down the field, but then they throw 2 interceptions in a playoff game. You're like, right to the defense. I
think Trevor Lawrence is a little bit of that's a tough comp.
He's a lot better than Trevor Lawrence.
Come on,
he was first pick in the draft, fellas. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was.
I'm just saying, but like
everybody, calm down.
Yeah, but Dak was a 4th rounder, so you just should comp him to Russell Wilson. That's
Trevor
it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Trevor hasn't had a whole lot of stability and a lot of help around him either. So I'm just saying that he's just got to work on his consistency to get back up in a top 10 or top 8 where he should be.
Hey,
Colt,
I do think George Pickens helps out a bunch. I think having him alongside CeeDee Lamb is a fairly good get. I think obviously very talented, acrobatic catches every time you turn on the tape, can win his one-on-ones. Having him as a threat alongside CD, who takes a lot of double teams, I think is going to very much help Dak Prescott. They needed that guy, and so that was a good pickup. So I'm a Dak Prescott believer. Like, I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's strong. He throws for a ton of yards every year. He's had 2 catastrophic injuries, right? I was on the sidelines playing for the Giants, and that happened right in front of me. And it was horrible when he dislocated his ankle. Came back from that, tore his hamstrings, coming back. I think he's going to have. I think he's really good. I think Jay's right. I think he's probably 10 to 12. 9, 10, 11 quarterback. And with talent around him, I think he could be, look at his rookie year. It was one of the most impressive rookie years of any quarterback ever. So I think Dak's the guy. I think he's comfortable with Schottenheimer. I think getting Pickens helps. You look at where they are compared to the other teams in their division, and I don't think they have a chance to win the division.
As we go through these team previews, we want to play some pick'ems. And if you like to play pick'ems, you have to head over to Underdog. It's the best place to play pick'ems. And it's never too early to start for this NFL in the upcoming season. So head over to the Underdog app right now or online and play along with us. The first entry that we're going to talk about is CeeDee Lamb. You mentioned him already. Higher or lower, 1,149.5 yards. He's gone higher in 3 straight seasons and did so last year in just 15 games without Dak Prescott. Higher, lower, CeeDee Lamb, 1149.5, AQ Shipley.
I am going higher.
George Pickens doesn't influence you at all? You don't think he takes away from?
Not one bit. I think CeeDee Lamb is number 1. He's been proven to be the guy. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's a dynamic route runner. He's fast as hell. Higher.
All right. Jay, higher?
Yeah, I agree. Higher. CD's still going to get the fun stuff, the screens, because of his ability to run after the catch, the jet sweeps. He'll get those little underhand shovels. So he's going to go higher. And if it's a one-on-one matchup, if they're going to play man-to-man against these guys, the number 1 option is going to be CD. Dak's going to find CD no matter what. 3rd and 5, man-to-man. They're going to move him in the slot, do some different things. So, yeah, CD's number 1, and he's going to make a lot of hay with Dallas, especially with their defense struggle a little bit. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So, CD, higher.
All right, Colt taking up the last pick.
Yeah, let's make this a trifecta. Yeah, he's going higher. He is their offense. Like he's the number 1. He's going to get his touches. They're going to find ways to get him the football. He's great after the catch. You can't cover him one-on-one. Dak's comfortable with him. Clearly has been for the last several years. He's going higher.
Is he the best receiver in the NFL right now?
I mean, you can argue, but I like Justin the best. That's
One of
my
them.
favorite. Justin's my favorite, but CD's right there.
What about Jamar?
Jamar Chase. Oh, yeah, those 3 guys.
Oh, jeez.
I go Jamar and Justin top 2, and then CD a close 3rd, then Tyreek if he has a quarterback of any kind of consistency whatsoever. I mean,
Tyreek makes me way too nervous.
Golly,
how sick are you? If you look back at that 2020 draft class, he was like the 3rd or 4th receiver off the board, I think, right? Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy.
Who?
Yeah, he was
Justin?
7th. CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, he's like 4th. Justin was in that. He was like 6th.
Absolute insanity. What a pick, 17.
We took two players. We took Henderson and Chase all.
CJ Henderson. Jesus, you guys flopped on that one. Good job. That's why Gruden is here.
Don't worry, Jay. We'll get your receiver in a second. Okay, thanks. LaVisca Chenault. All right. He had 2 hernias. Love LaVisca.
Justin Jefferson goes, wow, Jalen Reagor. Then Justin Jefferson goes. Kenneth Murray was in that draft class. All right, enough looking back. Everyone's picking Cowboys to finish 3rd in the NFC East this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Dallas Cowboys, that is a wrap. You're going to finish third in the NFC East, but CD is going to have a great year. He's going to go over 1,150 yards higher. He's going to go higher on those picks. All right, next up, before we get into the 1 and 2 kind of clear cut in the NFC East, let's go to the New York Giants. Clearly, everyone thinks they're going to finish fourth. I think the Giants have made a lot of improvements this year. They take Abdul Carter from Penn State, the premier pass rusher. They trade back up and get Jackson Dart in the draft. They also drafted some other good players. Darius Alexander from Toledo. Cam Scatterbo. Jay, we know you love him. They've really made some moves in the draft. What do we think about the Giants? Colt, I'm going to start with you. You've played in New York. You know what it's like to be there. How do you see them fitting in based on what they did last year and where they're heading? Are they heading in the right direction at least?
Yeah, I think they're definitely heading in the right direction. I love Coach Daboll. I've played for him. I think he's super smart. I think he's, the question is, you talk about Dallas having a running back by committee. Think about the Giants having quarterback by committee. I mean, you got Russell Wilson, you got Jameis Winston. You went and drafted Jackson Dart. I mean, that's a whole new quarterback room, and they've two of them have had a ton of success. One of them has won a Super Bowl, and then you draft Jackson Dart in the first round. And so, like how you manage that room, I think is.
Don't forget Tommy DeVito.
Oh,
Don't forget Tommy DeVito, baby.
Yeah,
Hold on,
Tommy.
let me give a shout out to Tommy real quick.
Yeah, give me a
DeVito. I found this sitting in the bag. We got Tommy DeVito right there, man. Come on now, Tommy.
So I think the Giants can compete. I think they're going to be better. I think Malik Neighbors going into year 2 is going to be better. I think, they're going to have, a stable quarterback in Russell Wilson until they decide to turn it over to, Jackson Dart.
So we're skipping right over Jameis. Jameis is not even does Jameis get traded to the Saints?
Jameis will be working for Fox. He might even be working for Underdog. All right. So he's not going to be able to. Here's the issue. How are they going to give these guys reps? Jameis in a one-on-one rep competition is probably as good throwing the ball as Russell or Jackson Dart. But you put him in team settings, you got your first period, you got 10 plays. Well, Russell gets 3, then we got to get Jackson Dart ready. He'll get 3. Then here, Jameis, you take 1, and Tommy, you get 1. So it's going to be hard to figure out who the best quarterback is after Russell, so they got to get Jackson ready. Jackson's got to be the future. They traded up for him. They got to figure out a way to get him to the number 2 quarterback spot. So if Russell fails at all, they got to put Jackson in there, hopefully to show some progress.
How important is it for Daboll to get Jackson on the field? I mean, this is kind of a make or break year for everybody at the Giants, right? Like,
I think defensively, the Giants are going to be able to compete with everybody. Adding Abdul Carter and the players that they have on defense, they upgraded their secondary a little bit. So defensively, they should stay in games. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is a monster. And offensively, if they get the running game going, I guess Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy, they got Malik Neighbors who can jump. They can jump up. Malik can jump up in that category we were talking about with the top receivers in the league now.
Wan'Dale Robinson, you love Wan'Dale. You gave him a shout out yesterday.
I call him Wendell, but close enough.
You're right there. You're right there.
They can compete. When you play good defense, you have a chance to compete. Russell Wilson will not turn the ball over, which is good, but he's very conservative with the ball. They're going to have to win a lot of close games, and eventually, if they do struggle early, you'll see Jackson Dart. And it depends on how he does in preseason, how he picks up Brian's system, but I would really see Russell get the job early. If he plays well, he'll keep it. Bring along Jackson. If he struggles a little bit, we go right to Jackson Dart and play for the future.
Okay, you mentioned defense and AQ. You've been in the NFC East. You've seen what these defensive lines look like. You've seen the Giants. They were one of the first teams to insert that NASCAR package, putting Jason Pierre-Paul, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora on the field, Dave Tollefson. The Giants kind of have a little bit of a throwback to the 07-11 teams where they have, Dexter Lawrence, who I think is probably the best nose guard in football. You have Brian Burns. You have Kayvon Thibodeau. But then you go in and you add just talent on top of talent. You have Abdul Carter coming in. What do you make of this Giants D-line? Are they the best defensive line in the NFC East? Are they the best defensive line in football? Where do you rank them there?
What's interesting is talent-wise, if you look at each player individually along that front, talent-wise, I think they're very good. I don't think they were very good as a unit. I think Dexter gave you a lot of sacks early, and then he kind of fell off the map, and I don't know if that was due to a little injury. He got hurt, obviously, and he wasn't the same player towards the back end of the year, but they were still giving up some rushing yards, right? Like even with Dexter in the middle last year, they were giving up some rushing yards. They got Nunez Roches, who I played with down in Tampa, crazy motor, plays hard.
He's still playing?
Yes.
Still playing.
He gave me a concussion that off the couch game. In pregame, I swear he gave me a concussion because he plays the pregame like it's real game and literally hit me so hard I didn't know where I was in Buffalo for a second.
Is that why you jumped off sides a couple of times?
That might have been it.
I didn't know the playbook or the snap count. You know how that goes. I was screaming at the center. I'm like, hey, when you raise your head in silent cadence, you better snap the damn ball. But shout out to Nacho, man. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry to cut you off.
Not just a stub, but again, like if they can get run stops on first and second down and get that package on the field, and then you can get 4 war daddies out there, then you better be able to watch out. But it all starts with, again, staying on track. And we talk about this all the time last year. That's why the Minnesota Vikings were so successful last year, is they were able to stay on track. They were able to get stops on first and second down and then get that 7-up package on third. Well, that's the same thing that this team is going to be. This can be the Seattle defense that you had whenever they had their NASCAR package with Michael Bennett and Averill and all those boys. If you can get to 3rd and 5+, like you have to be able to get there. So that's going to be the issue of what they're going to be able to have to do this year. The other thing is, on the other side of the ball, their offensive line's got to get figured out too. That's the one thing we are not talking about.
Oh, the one thing I do want to talk about with that offensive line, I've been in that room. I know what's going on there. When they lost Andrew Thomas and everyone started to get shuffled around, that really added some uncertainty. But the offensive line was better last year, heading in the right direction. Andrew Thomas, when healthy, is one of the better left tackles in football. Here's my question. You draft a guy, Evan Neal. You've taken him in the top 10. What do you do with Evan Neal, who is a high pick? The GM, like his reputation's riding on him and Kayvon Thibodeau. What do you do with Evan Neal?
You have to try him one more time, right? Like you have to. Like he's a first-round pick. I think he was, again, a 10 or 12th overall, whatever it is. Like you have to give it one more try. And I think you've seen some success where maybe some guys didn't work out. For instance, Mekhi Becton, right? Didn't work out right away. You move him inside and he has a monster year and gets paid out in LA, right? And so you may be able to get that same thing if you move him inside the guard. But here's the deal. This is kind of his last go with the New York Giants. Like he's got to make it work right now this year in whatever position that may be, whether it's tackle, whether it's guard. He should have a monster chip on his shoulder. People have talked more shit about that dude over the last couple of years. Like you got to make it work now or never, or else you're going to start to get a label, and that label is going to run out very quickly.
Jay, how does that go from a GM to a head coach when you draft a guy that high? You know he has to play. Everyone's reputation revolves around him being successful. And then when he struggles, how does that impact the coaching decisions?
It's an impact because you want him to do well. You drafted him. I think a lot of people had to sign off on him. Can't be just the GM and the coaches hated him. I'm sure everybody had to like him. And unfortunately, it happens in pro football. You draft a guy you think's going to come in and perform at a very, very high level, and he just doesn't perform, doesn't play well. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's physical, maybe it's confidence. You know, they got to figure out a way to get his confidence back and get him in there and make some plays, and hopefully he can develop into the player they thought he would be. But just throwing him to the curb right now for a young, talented player would probably be a mistake. But if you're struggling mightily and everybody sees it, you can't play him. So it's a fine line there between letting them play and work out the kinks and get better, but also putting your team in harm's way.
Speaking of the offensive line, having that continuity, you've been in that team. How hard is it to play and build your confidence in New York of all places?
Yeah, it's tough, man. And, you know, obviously the quarterback position gets scrutinized heavily in New York. And so that's going to be all that anyone's talking about. But as AQ said, like, they got to be better up front. I mean, Daniel Jones didn't have a chance for the last 4 years. Saquon Barkley didn't have a chance to be Saquon Barkley there because they couldn't block anybody, right? They do have a good defensive line. They finally got a receiver, finally switched the quarterbacks out. Maybe that's going to help a little bit. But until they figure out the 5 core guys up front and can Andrew stay healthy on the left side, like until they figure that out, they're not going to be successful. But maybe Evan Neal moves inside. Maybe that gives them a spark. Maybe, I don't know. But
he's a mauler. He's one of the best run blockers. It was the pass protection that was given him.
You watch him play last year. They get to third down. Like the quarterback hits his third step, and like unless the ball's coming out, they got no shot to run like any version of 3-level throws or dagger concept. They don't have time to do anything, right?
That's why Wandale was getting every ball right in the slot quick.
Yeah, you gotta be able to protect. You can't win in the East if you can't block up front.
I'm much higher with Andrew Thomas coming back healthy. I think there is some depth. Like you're not even asking Evan Neal to start right away. He would come in. They signed Greg Van Roten, who's a 12-year pro. I think They have to stay healthy, give those 5 guys time to gel, have some continuity. They have a playmaker in Malik Neighbors. Let's do a quick higher or lower on Malik. He's got Russell Wilson going to hit that moon ball. Last year, he had 1,200 yards, 15 games played. This year, the higher or lower is set at 1,174.5 yards. What do we have here? Higher or lower for Malik Neighbors? Jay, I'll go to you first.
I'm going higher. I know that they're going to struggle throwing the ball a little bit, but Malik will be their focal point. He was last year. He will be again. He's an awesome player down the field, short passes. I just hope he stays healthy. They threw him into a couple slaughters last year, but I think he's such a good player after the catch, run after the catch, very similar to Jamar Chase. He's got that type of ball production. He's awesome. Yeah, so I'll play higher.
I'm going to go lower, and the reason I'm going lower is just exactly why.
What the hell?
I know I'm usually on your side when it comes to this stuff, but I just don't. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're going to struggle protecting early, and I think it's going to be musical chairs at quarterback until they try and figure it out. I don't think they're going to go with Dart right away. They're probably going to go with Russell and then pull the plug as soon. There's going to be a short leash on that, so I think it's just going to be back and forth. I don't trust the quarterback position. This is nothing against Neighbors.
Okay, 2 questions for you, Colt. I want you to answer that question, yes. But at what point do we think Jackson Dart makes his first start in the NFL? What week?
10.
10.
Total guess. I think he does play at some point this year. And I'll also, just based on how their roster's built, sort of what Dayball wants to see and kind of where he's at. And if he can get a young guy to come in and give him a spark, you draft him, kind of build around him. I think that gives Dayball, sort of something to stand on. And then as far as higher or low for Malik Neighbors, I think he's incredible. I think he's one of the best young receivers in the game by far. I just don't see him. I'm with AQ. I don't see him going higher than 1,100 yards. I think you're playing musical chairs at quarterback. You're splitting reps in the offseason and in mini camps and in training camp. And I don't know. He is the guy. He's gonna get a lot of targets. I just don't know how good they are.
Who were his quarterbacks last year when he got over that or higher?
Thank you.
I can't remember. Who were they? Can you name them all? Now he's got
Daniel
Russell Wilson or Jackson. It
was Daniel Jones, and then obviously he was let go of the team to go sign with Minnesota. It was Tommy DeVito, and who else do they have? They had Drew Lock in there. No offense to Drew.
Colt, if you're the head coach, if you're Brian Daboll, and you go through training camp and you're looking, and this Jackson Dart is spinning it, man. He looks pretty good. He's picking up the system pretty damn good. Do you start at week 1? Do you start at week 1?
Heck yeah. Why? Well, you have nothing to lose.
Could happen. That could happen, man. I'm telling you.
I want to win games in New York. I want the Giants to win games. I am admittedly biased towards this team. I think they added Paulson Adebo. They added Javon Holland. I think the defense is very, very good. So they're going to have the ability that could help a young quarterback having that kind of defense. So
if he's equal, or if he's like right neck and neck with all the other quarterbacks, you play him. We talked about last year who's going to start, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Like we didn't, why, and the differences of who you would take. Like in this situation, so you got a young guy. If he shows any promise and he comes out there and lights it up, like what do you have to lose? Let's go build around him. Your defense is going to keep you in games. Don't turn the ball over.
That's a good point. I mean, we saw all of our most improved teams through free agency, all was building around second-year quarterbacks. If you find a glimpse of Jackson Dart being that guy, imagine what the Giants can build around him quickly with the amount of dollars they can spend because they don't have to spend on the quarterback position. What does success look like? Give me a win total, just one number. We'll go quick. AQ, starting with you. Win total that is successful in New York next year.
That is successful or that I think?
That you think.
5.
Colt?
6.
Jay?
I think they'll go higher than that with their defense, man. I just think these two edge guys, I think this defense should be really good. So I'm going to go higher. I think Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors, they added Scattaboo. I mean, I think they're going to go higher than that. There are going to be a lot of close games. There's a lot of close games in the NFL, and I think they can get 7 or 8 games this year.
I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go all the way up. We went 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going 9. We're moving on. But before we get into the 2 top consensus teams, the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, stop whatever you're doing right now. Hit like, hit subscribe. How do you think the NFC East will pan out? Who's 1? Who's 2? Can the Giants get to 3? Can they get to 2? Will the Eagles falter at all? I don't know. Let us know. We'll see you in the comment section. Also, before we get back to the video, I just want to let you guys know, just because it's the offseason in the NFL doesn't mean you have to stop playing on the Underdog app. It's the NBA playoffs right now, and the Underdog app is the best place to make picks during the playoffs with Underdog's newest NBA Pro Bowl, the Extender. Jay loves the Extender. You can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. If those series go to 7, you could secure a huge win if your picks hit. Underdog is the best place to make picks during the NBA playoffs. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the Underdog app and use the promo code POCKET during NBA playoffs. Jay, I don't know if the Knicks are going to go to 7, by the way. The Knicks might be running away with this one. Now, the injury is tough. You hate to see Jason Tatum get hurt, but the Knicks looked good.
They look good, man. I mean, they didn't miss in the third. Crunch time, they've been really, really good. You know, the Celtics have faltered a little bit. They lost their legs a little bit. The threes weren't falling. And the Knicks, they're in incredible shape. And they just hit everything and put the pressure on them. And Boston couldn't recover. But there's still another game they got to win. Now, I wouldn't put it past
in Boston, too.
Yeah, I know Tatum's out, but the Celtics still have a lot of firepower.
All right, let's go to the Commanders. They're probably the biggest surprise from last year. I don't think anyone penciled them in to be playing in the NFC Championship game. They were very, very close for making it to the Super Bowl. Is a step back inevitable? Is there a sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels? Can we just plug them right back into playing in the NFC Championship again, Jay?
No, you can't plug them in. They won some close games, had some fortunate things happen to them. They stayed healthy, too, which is very, very important in the National Football League. They played with the same offensive lineman for about 14 to 15 games until Cosme got hurt there at the end. So it showed he's got the ability to run. He's got the ability to stay in a pocket, go through progressions. Defensively, they struggle a little bit at the end, but they still played pretty damn good defensively. So, yeah, I think everything points to them being better. I'm just concerned about their defense just a little bit, but I do think that with Jaden Daniels and this high-powered offense, they're going to win a lot of games again. I just think Jaden Daniels is an incredible quarterback and just puts them in a position where you run out of the tunnel, Justin, and you see your quarterback running out there with you. You go, man, we're going to win this game. And that's the way they feel every time they walk out of the field with this kid. He's awesome.
Well, here's the thing. This happened similarly to the Houston Texans. They have C.J. Stroud. They have this great season. They exceed expectations. You're coming into year 2. There might be a little bit of a sophomore slump. Teams are going to have a target on playing the Commanders now. They want to get after them. They want to hit Jaden Daniels. AQ, is there a world in which the Commanders regress a little bit, even though they are bringing everybody back? They added Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel, Bobby Wagner was re-signed. Is there any world in which they regress?
Yeah, 1,000%. I 1,000% think that they could fall back quite a lot, to be honest with you. We've seen this with Cliff before. We've seen this where he starts off super hot and then people start to get a beat on what he does because it becomes a little bit repetitive. You start to understand what he likes to do, and the stuff starts to show up more and more on film. But then you get Laramie Tunsil in there, and who knows, whenever you plug and play, you think you get a plug and play guy, but it might not fit the system. You don't know until he's in it. You get a Deebo Samuel, and now all of a sudden you might try and – Jay mentioned it a ton, right? Like they still gave up 50-something points to the Eagles. So – They didn't address that very much on the defensive side of the ball, and that's what it always comes down to. And if you have a lack of production, a sophomore slump whatsoever from Jaden Daniels, Cosme's out, and so now you have to shuffle that offensive line, and now maybe that looks a little bit different. You start to force some things here. This doesn't fit here, and all of a sudden, now you're sitting there, and you might be 4-4, and now you start to press, and who knows which way it goes. So is it a possibility? 100%. Do I see it happening? No, but I could also see it happening. I don't think it will, but I can see it.
You can see what that looks like. Colt, everything hinges on your offensive rookie of the year last year. Honestly, you could have threw him into the MVP conversation. I think he could be in the top 5 there as well. What does Jaden Daniels need to do and show you in year 2 that he hasn't already?
The thing going into last year was like, you got to keep this guy healthy. He's thin. He runs. Like, keep him upright. They did a great job. Jay mentioned they didn't have any injuries until Cosme, like, late in the year. So I think that still has to be the emphasis. If he stays upright and stays healthy, I don't see this team slipping. I see this team getting better on offense. They kept the core pieces. They added Deebo Samuel. They kept Ertz and Eckler. Terry McLaurin still healthy. Laramie Tunsil's not going to make you go backwards. That dude's just a monster. So I think, it depends on Jaden's health, but I see them getting better and better and better. And it all starts with the quarterback position. And Cliff has more toys. He loves the little gadgets. He's going to find ways to get everybody the ball. That's one of Cliff's strengths is he figures out ways to get guys touches and really, I know he talked about not, figuring out things on defense or adding some pieces, but at the end of the day, like they're gonna keep scoring. They may lead the league in scoring this year.
Justin, let me ask you this. You played tackle, you played guard, both sides. I mean, how hard is it for Coleman to play left tackle, then all of a sudden play right tackle, and then Wiley go to right tackle to right guard, and you draft this Connerly, he played tackle, and he might have to play guard.
He can't play guard. He cannot play guard in the interior,
that's
right?
Where I'm worried
AQ, right?
about how they're going to fill in the right side of their offensive line. They're not used to playing that, so I don't know. But you've done it. Maybe it's easy.
It's like wiping your ass with the other hand. You're going to get the job done. It's going to be a little messy, and you're going to be a little more anxious before doing it again. So I never tell teams to do that, right, Q?
I just love the fact that, like, because Tristan Wirfs has done it and a few other people have done it and made it look easy.
Hall of Famers have done it.
I love the fact that we sit there and do that. It's like, listen, we're talking about Hall of Fame type people. We're talking about people that have literally 3 people in the history of the game that have been able to make it look easy. And like all of a sudden it's like, oh, everybody can do it now. Let's move him from left to right, right to left, like all these different things. It's like 9 times out of 10, when you move a guy from right to left, they look like dog shit, period. And so let's not think that that's all of a sudden like the easy thing to do.
All right, so here's the real question. We're going Jaden Daniels touchdown passes. He had 25 last year. His higher lower is 23.5. Is Jaden Daniels going to go higher or lower, AQ? We got some O-line questions. He's got more gadgets. It seems like it's a no-brainer, but is it?
I got to go higher. I really do. I think he's an absolute stud. And I think his mindset, and from what you've told me from some guys that that are playing with him, and work ethic and all the different things, how smart he is, all these different things, I don't think there's going to be a step backwards for this guy. I really don't. And I got to go higher on this one.
I've only heard how much of a professional he is, how he prepares off the field. I've heard it is the best rookie quarterback that any of these guys have ever seen, and they've been around a lot of quarterbacks. Colt, Jaden Daniels, higher, lower, 23.5 touchdown passes.
Higher, definitely higher. He's going to get better. Keep him healthy. Keep him standing up. Keep him clean. Fall down. Don't take hits. He's going to go higher.
He's got to protect himself. Protect yourself. Like, your O-line can only do so much for you. Don't do what he did, trying to, like, at the goal line, try to make that last play and get some ribs cracked. Like, Mama Daniels, take care of him on the field, too. We see you keeping all the women away from him off the field. Do it on the field. Jay, I already know what you're going to say, so just throw it out there right now. Higher, lower, 23.
Higher.
Jay wants to make sure he can show his face at the golf course this year up there in Commanders country. We're going higher. Commanders record.
Say what you want. The NFC East is always tough. They haven't had repeat winners of that thing. I mean, it's tough. You go to Dallas, you go to Philadelphia, you go to the Giants. No easy task, that's for sure. It's not going to be easy, but I still think from a quarterback standpoint, what they're going to do offensively, they're going to put a lot of pressure on teams, and I think their defense, Coach Quinn, will get just enough out of them to get enough stops to win 10 or 11 games again this year.
Okay, here's an interesting stat. The NFC East currently has the longest streak without a consecutive division champion, with no team having repeat since the Philadelphia Eagles won 4 consecutive titles from 01 to 04. So the stats are saying there's never been a repeat champion. Do we think the Commanders could unseat the Philadelphia Eagles? Because we have a 21-year track record that's going to happen. Odds are the Eagles are not going to do it again this year. Is the Commanders are the team to do it, correct?
That would be my pick. If anybody could beat the Eagles out of winning a division, be the Commanders. Cowboys, if Dak playing well, and the addition of Pickens, if they score a ton of points a game and just light up the scoreboard every week, then maybe the Giants, no, I can't see the Giants, but I think the Commanders.
That would be quite the story, man. That would be glowing.
Story. But I've seen it happen before in that division. You think the team that's the worst team in the division, they come out and they have a couple breaks, win some close games. Next thing you know, they win a division. Hell, we did it my second year. My second year there at Washington, we won it. We were picked last.
Hanging in the banners, folks.
Hey,
hanging in the banners.
Title crown somewhere. Where is it? I can't remember where I put that damn hat, but it's somewhere in this house.
But you are right. It takes one injury, right? If someone on one of these marquee teams gets hurt, all of a sudden it changes the whole dynamic of what the division might look like.
It's going to be pretty cool when they get the old RFK site figured out and new stadium there. It's going to be awesome.
It looked insane.
I'll be dead by the time that happens. What's it going to be, another 20 years?
2 years, they said. So did like the preliminary plans. I don't know actual timelines, but please stay alive for the next 5 years, Jay. We need you, man.
It's 50-50. 50-50.
High or lower, Jay makes it to see the Commanders' new stadium. Let us know in the comments if Jay makes it to see that new stadium. Let's move over to the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs, looking to defend their title. How do their chances look after draft and free agency? They didn't make any splash plays. Adoree Jackson, Josh Uche, A.J. Dillon. I like A.J. Dillon. They re-signed Zach Bond. Draft was very good. AQ, shaking your head, yes. Do you like the moves the Eagles made this offseason?
Yeah, Jay touched on it earlier. I mean, Howie Roseman did a fantastic job of keeping the key pieces. And I think if you have the key pieces, you draft well, and you do enough to put a supporting cast around them, you got the makings of the same group, right? And Jalen is now going to have confidence, right? He won a Super Bowl. He's going to have a ton of – who's going to be that guard that fills in for Mekhi Becton? He's always got that guy. Now, if I'm going to put my faith in anybody, it's him. I mean, Jeff Stoutland has proven that consistently he gets guys. They've made their center, Cam Jurgens, one of the highest paid centers in the National Football League. They got Lane Johnson back. They got Mailata, right? Like, they got dudes everywhere. The receiving core's back, Saquon, Jalen. I mean, when you talk about this, they got all their pieces up front on that defense for the most part. They lost Milton Williams. They lost Sweat. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But they probably lost their two worst guys. And those guys were good football players, right? But they still kept the good ones, the really good ones. They got Nolan Smith coming up in the thing. That's exactly what Howie does. He keeps the right pieces, lets a few move on, and hopes to replenish. And I think they've done a fantastic job. Yeah.
Colt, what's Jalen Hurts look like? Actually, you know what? Do you want to poke the beehive again at the Philadelphia Eagles and give me your Jalen Hurts breakdown? Coming off a Super Bowl, he proved everyone wrong, including a lot of us here on the show. What do you make of Jalen Hurts in this defending Super Bowl season?
There's no defending him. He went out and won a Super Bowl. He played awesome, crushed it in the playoffs, took advantage of all the things that they were doing on offense. Saquon Barkley, great. What did we call him? Stoutland U. I don't think they slip off at all right now. You can critique Jalen Hurts' game, but at the end of the day, he's performed at a really high level for 2 years now and ultimately got a Super Bowl out of it. So I don't think they slip up. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's got somebody new is going to be calling plays for him this year. But outside of that, like, They still have the squad. They still have the team. They still have the talent, right? Players are going to go out there and play to their expectation, and that's to win a Super Bowl. And I don't think they slip off. All
right, Jay, you're scheming up to play the Philadelphia Eagles. You're trying to figure out a way how we're going to beat this team. Where is there any place to attack? It's not the O-line. We mentioned that.
Darius Slay is gone. I'm going after Ringo all day long. Quinyon Mitchell, he had a great year, but I'm throwing the ball. I'm getting the ball. I'm launching it. Nolan Smith will block him, protect the inside, protect the core. They lost Sweat. They don't really have another edge pressure rusher. Huff didn't really perform to his expectations. So I think
Jalix Hunt, young player.
Jalix Hunt's a young player. So I think we can protect, and I think we get after these corners, Justin. I really do. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I mean, Debo and Terry McLaurin, Malik Neighbors. These corners are going to have to step up now. They're going to see a lot of aerial attacks. So we'll see how they do. So I do like the add Jahad Campbell at linebacker. That helped them out a lot. Nakobe Dean's coming off an injury, but I just think if they do have a weakness, you asked me, I think it's a secondary.
I've always seen Howie. He's always restocked the O-line and the D-line. This was the first draft where Howie didn't really get to the D-line until the fourth round. It's Ty Robinson, the D-lineman out of Nebraska. He's really banking on the young core that he's drafted early on before. They can't afford to have an offensive lineman get injured. I mean, you look at the depth on the offensive line, it starts to get a little bit vulnerable, especially there at tackle. They really have no depth at the tackle position. I'm almost lining up trying to run right at this Eagles defense, force Jalen Carter to stop the run. We obviously know they want to pin their ears back, get after it. I think maybe in the trenches is where I saw this in New York. New York had one of the best offensive lines with David Deal, Chris Snee, and they ran the ball with Brandon Jacobs. All of a sudden, 1 year, all those guys were gone, and you start to have injuries. Cam Jurgens was injured last year. Landon Dickerson got injured last year. So I just am a little nervous that there could be some injuries, but that's ifs. No one's going to get injured. They're going to stay healthy, like we said, and they're going to have Saquon Barkley back.
Let me throw some names out there for you, right? Okay, I'm going to throw some names out for you. Anthony Steen, Sua Opeta. You heard of him before?
Yes.
Never.
Did you ever hear of him before they stepped in and filled in roles at guard for Stoutland? No. The answer is no. He somehow finds guys that you've never heard of before, gets them ready to be 6th and 7th men on his offensive lines. You don't have to worry about that. So whoever that 6th and 7th guy is, If you got to plug and play him for 3-4 games, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it may be, he'll have him ready. Like, there's no question about that, right? Like, that's the one thing.
He probably is the best position coach, right? He's probably the most recognized position coach, not coordinator, but position coach in the league, right?
There's no question about it at this point, right? Like, he just does it over and over again. Now, granted, at the end of the day, as Jay knows better than anybody, you need guys, and Howie's put guys in front of him. Howie's put damn good players in front of him. But when you see what he's done with a guy like Mekhi Becton,
Jordan Mailata,
Jordan Mailata, a guy that's never really done it before, and you see what he's done with him. He's taken Lane to a new level. He took Jason Kelce. They were trying to kick Jason Kelce out of town when he was playing for Chip Kelly. He was getting bull rushed into the backfield. Well, then, okay, now he gets back with Stoutland, and all of a sudden he's the hero of the town again, right? Like, so Stoutland's phenomenal. There's no question about that.
I was just saying, if there was a weakness, I'm just saying maybe the depth isn't necessarily there in the trenches like it has been in the past. Saquon Barkley, AQ, you're our Penn State guy. Jack behind the scenes, our producer, he's also a Penn State guy. So we talk a lot about those Nittany Lions. Can Saquon go for over 2,000 yards again this season?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think, honestly, they're going to be shooting for that. I think that's like now they know it's a realistic goal. It's like, okay, cool. Like, let's get a lead and hammer this run game, and let's get us, let's try and get him 200 a game. I think that's going to be the goal. That's going to be a wild goal if you think about it. You get 200 a game, watch out. I mean, that number is going to be untouchable forever. Now, granted, probably unreachable as well. Don't get me wrong, but that's probably the goal that they're going to go in.
All right, so I'm going to back in. The higher or lower for Saquon Barkley this year is 1,499.5 yards. So it's way lower than his total was and what he did last year. You're saying he's going to blow that out of the water. He's going to eclipse 2,000 yards. Colt, do you think higher or lower Saquon Barkley, 1,500 yards or more?
Yeah, this has been the easiest one so far in this division. I would say
this is your hammer.
Definitely higher. This is my confidence pick right here. He's going to get 20 to 25 touches a game. He's got an awesome offensive line. Jalen Hurts can move a little bit, so that opens up some lanes for him when you do the zone read and a little play action pass off of that. I'm higher for sure. I think he chases 2,000 yards again.
Jay?
Yeah, I got to go higher. The issue with Saquon, when you watch him play, you can stop him on 15 carries, right? He can have 15 carries for 30 yards. I don't have 2 carries for 120. That's the big issue with them is 17 carries for 190 and 15 on be for 30. His big play threat ability is what sets him apart. So I think it's way higher. I think he's going to get his yards. That's what they're made of. That's who they are. That's why they won the Super Bowl, and they're going to go to him again. So higher.
And I do love how he paid him. Like, hey, get ready. We're doing this again. I'm paying you because get ready for what 2025 is going to look like. And that is a wrap for the NFC East. It's my favorite division. When the NFC East is rolling, football is in a better place. And you know what's also a better place? Underdog's app. We're doing season-long pick'em entries, and we will put up everyone's picks on the screen. It's never too early to get in on the action at Underdog. Head over to the app right now. Use the promo code POCKET. It's easy. Pocket from Clean Pocket. You get what I'm saying? And play along with our season-long pick'ems. And stay tuned next week. We will be breaking down the NFC North. We have a lot more great football content coming your way. So make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss one of these videos. You don't want to miss these pick'em opportunities because we're giving you gold. All right, we'll see you guys next week.